It was a dark and stormy night, and I was driving home alone on a deserted highway. I'd been working late at the office, and I was eager to get home to my warm bed. But as I drove, I began to feel uneasy. The wind howled outside, and the rain beat down on my windshield, making it difficult to see. I'd been driving for about an hour when I saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slowed down, thinking it might be a deer or another wild animal. But as I got closer, I saw that it was a man. He was tall and thin, with a long, disheveled beard. He was wearing a tattered coat and jeans, and he was holding a thumb out. I hesitated for a moment, but then I decided to stop. I'd been raised to help those in need, and I couldn't just leave this man standing out in the middle of nowhere on a night like this. I pulled over to the side of the road and rolled down my window. "Can I help you?" I asked. The man looked up at me with dark, hollow eyes. "I'm stranded," he said. "My car broke down a few miles back. Could you give me a ride to the next town?" I felt a chill run down my spine, but I nodded anyway. "Sure," I said. "Hop in." The man got into the passenger seat and slammed the door shut. I took a deep breath and started driving again. The man didn't say anything, but he kept staring at me with those dark, hollow eyes. After a few minutes, I couldn't take the silence anymore. "So," I said, "what brings you out here on a night like this?" The man didn't respond. He just kept staring at me. I tried again. "Where are you headed?" Still no response. I was starting to get creeped out. I glanced over at the man, and I saw that he was now smiling. It was a cold, dead smile. I felt a surge of panic. "What do you want?" I asked. The man's smile widened. "I want you," he said. I slammed on the brakes and screeched to a halt. The man lunged at me, but I managed to dodge him. He opened the car door and jumped out. I locked the doors and rolled up the windows. The man pounded on the windows, his face twisted in rage. "You can't escape me!" he screamed. I started the car and drove away as fast as I could. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw the man standing in the middle of the road, his arms outstretched. He was getting smaller and smaller in the distance, but I could still see his cold, dead smile. I finally reached the next town and called the police. They told me that there had been several reports of a hitchhiker attacking people on that highway. They said that he was a dangerous man, and that I was lucky to be alive. I never saw the hitchhiker again, but I still think about him sometimes. I wonder what would have happened if I hadn't been able to get away. A few weeks after the incident, I was driving home from work on the same highway. It was another dark and stormy night, and I was feeling a little uneasy. But I told myself that I was being paranoid. I had survived the last encounter, and I was sure that I could handle myself if the hitchhiker came back. I was about halfway home when I saw a figure standing in the middle of the road. I slowed down, my heart pounding in my chest. It was the hitchhiker. He was even taller and thinner than before. His beard was longer and more disheveled. His eyes were sunken and lifeless, and his smile was colder and deadlier than ever. I slammed on the brakes and screeched to a halt. The hitchhiker smiled and waved. I couldn't move. I was frozen with fear. The hitchhiker slowly started walking towards me. He was getting closer and closer. I closed my eyes and waited for the end, but it never came. I opened my eyes and looked around. The hitchhiker was gone. I didn't know what to think.